So guys, welcome back to the garage. I've had another request, and that request was, how do you remove and replace the head badges? I think it's a fairly simple thing to do. I'm going to assume here that if you are doing this, if you are removing and replacing the head badge, then you're doing a restoration, and the bike is already stripped down. So additional to the tools that you've already used to take out the stem, take out the brakes, the wheel and all that sort of jazz, all you're really going to need is a punch, a small hammer I would guess, and let's say a drill. There are, what I can think of, 3 different ways you could remove one of these head badges. How's the light? Main one is going to be just drilling off these small little rivets. Other one is to get from the inside and shear off the back of the rivet so it comes off. And I guess the most destructive way to remove it, which is probably not the best way, is to try and chisel these off from the front. But that way you risk breaking off the corners of these badges because they're obviously quite fragile after all these years. So, first things first, I need to strip down the front end of this bike so I can access the back of this badge inside the head tube. Well, that came apart easier than I thought. Everything's out now. I just left the whole front assembly together, just disconnected the rod brakes, which amazingly weren't seized. Removed the stem and it all came apart. Didn't even lose any bearings. Perfect. And it looks like the colour, I know we're not on the Rudge at the moment, we're not on the Rudge build specific at the moment, but it looks like the colour of the Rudge may have been black originally, so we'll find out once we take that cap off there and take the head badge off, which we'll get onto now. Okay, so the head badge is ready to come out. We've got 1, 2, 3 little rivets to remove. The badge looks kind of fragile. It's a little bit corroded. There's a little bit of corrosion around the edges. So we've got to be careful with it. The best bet is probably going to be to drill them out. They are kind of elongated, like these ones up top are elongated, so I'm going to try and use my centre punch here. This is an old tool, it's an Eclipse number 1 centre punch, so I can just put that on there, hopefully in the centre, and punch a hole, and that should give my drill a bit of guidance, hopefully. I'm just going to use a 2mm drill just to slowly, carefully try and drill the top off. I don't want to try and drill into the badge, so I just want to try and drill it off enough, drill it enough for this top to break off. There we go, got it. Just saw the end there. The end, there's a little ring around the drill. So if you drill slowly enough, you'll see when it breaks off. And there we go, that should be the rivet free. So if I just get a little bit of leverage underneath there, this bottom should pop off. Now, as I said, being both soft metals, the badge soft metal, rivet soft metal, you can, if you're lucky, sort of chisel them off, but you do risk damaging the badge. I could end up knocking this corner off. So I should, if I'm careful enough, just be able to get underneath it, between the badge and the rivet. And just manipulate it, just so the head comes off, like that. And then that's another one free. So you can drill it, or you can very carefully use a little chisel and a hammer and just work your way around it. Third method is going to be a tricky one to show, because it involves trying to break off the back of the rivet. I have successfully done that before, but you can just about see, you can just about see the last remaining one inside. Now that's just protruding a little bit, just enough to be able to knock off. Same method as the front. I'm not sure from this angle I'm going to be able to show it though. It is loose, but I can't chip off anything more from that side. So this method hasn't been successful this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill that one out. How much did the light change then? But there we go, one head badge removed, and the bike was originally black. So there we go, that's one way of finding out the colour. So on to the next part, and that is going to be installing the badge. I'm not going to do it on this bike, I'm going to do it on another bike. But you will need some head badge rivets, a small punch, and obviously a hammer. First I'm just going to knock these out though, because these are the old rivets. And a quick bike switch later, we've got this one. This one I'm not sure if you would have seen before this one comes out. It's a little bare metal fixed gear that I'm building, fixie. But we're going to reinstall the head badge. It's a rally, it's got 3 different rivets to put in, and that's what you need to look for. You need to look for some head badge rivets. They will look like this. So the little bags that you can get, these are way too big for this, so if you do accidentally drill these holes a little bit bigger, don't worry, you can get different sizes, but you don't go too big. I found these on eBay, just under head badge rivets. As I said, different lengths, different sizes, so the ones I need are these very, very tiny ones that I probably can't even focus on, but these are super tiny ones. The one thing I say, because this fork is out, we might have to just shave them down slightly on the back, because they do protrude through, so you likely have to shave them down after. And they're dead easy to install, dead easy. So I've got 3 holes, got 3 rivets to put in. The badge is going to line up there, but it's not going to stay. This is the tricky part, trying to get everything in line while holding everything. I've got a hammer, I've got a little punch. I'm going to put the rivet through the head badge already, like that, for this first one. And the rivets have, zoom in, can you see that? The rivets have little striations on there to lock into the metal, but it's going to be the size of the end that matches up. Hopefully you can see that. And it's raining, of course it's raining when I'm doing a bare metal bike. But that's going to sit in there like that. I might not need this punch actually. Hopefully everything's secure. Get this punch and just tap it in. There we go. And that is one rivet installed. I've got another 2 to do. So I've got one there and one there, so I'll just grab them. And that is one head badge reinstalled. Only thing I need to check now, because after this has been installed, if I turn this around actually you'll see from the inside. So looking down the head tube now, what we can see, if I can make this a bit lighter, maybe just the focus, there we go. You can just about see the rivet sticking out there. Now, so I've had in the past sometimes that does interfere with the doohickey, the steerer tube. So it's best, if possible, to file those down a little bit to trim them off, because they are sticking out there about, I don't know, maybe up to 5mm. So best to trim them off and get them nice and smooth. So what I've personally just done here, just to get them a bit more, give them a bit more anchorage and get them out the way, is just use another chisel of sorts. It's a chisel, and just bend them over. So I just like tapped them round and it bent them over just enough so that they're going to be locked in there. I honestly don't know how you could possibly deform it from the other side. Like a normal rivet from a rivet gun would have a compressed end on the inside, whereas this is just cutting into the hole slightly in the head tube originally to give that anchorage. Now I'm just knocking them over to give them a bit more, but that is enough to get the fork and stick it in there without any interference. So I can run it round and it will still turn without getting stuck. So that seems to be good to me. Only thing left to do now, as a noisy car goes past, is to reinstall everything. So put new grease in, put new bearings in, and just put that fork back in, which I guess I can do quickly now. And then once you put the stem back in, handlebars back on, brake on, reconnect everything on the wheel of course, you're done. You've reinstalled that head badge. But I'm assuming now that this is part of a restoration again, so you can take your own time doing that. But I hope that's answered your question. I hope that has shown how you install one of these head badges and remove and install a head badge. It's dead easy, dead simple to do. So now you can get on and do it on your own restoration. And you know, these rivets don't cost much, so it's a nice way to get a better finish on your bike rather than trying to tape around everything and paint it like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. If you want to see more like this, check out the links in the end of the video, which are probably on the screen now, and subscribe for more content. Thank you.